Hi. Normally I do these videos to serve others, to help people, to teach. Today this video is actually more for myself. So I've been studying about grief lately because I've been walking through grief with some of my clients and some friends, and it just seems to be a recurring theme, whether it's loss of a loved one, loss of a relationship, loss of a job, loss of someone's health, financial loss or business loss. This has just been a recurring theme that I've had the privilege of walking closely with some others through. By no means am I an expert in this. If anything, my business partner, Chris Williams, is much more an expert. But even he would say he's not an expert in grief. But things have been going amazingly for me. The last year and a half has been just a roller coaster, but mostly just amazing, wonderful, exciting stuff. And today I was in the middle of a session with a client who just was having an amazing breakthrough. It was so much fun, and to see them just break through barriers and stuck points. I was on cloud nine when I got out of, in the middle of the session, when I got a text from someone I love very close to me who said, "I need to talk to you ASAP." And so when I got out of the session, I talked to them, and they told me some devastating news. It's not mine to share, so I won't go into the story, but it's just so heavy and so heartbreaking. I thought it was appropriate for me to just share a little bit about what I'm learning about grieving right now. And so just reflecting on the notes that I've been taking and something that I've been sharing with people that I know who've been going through grieving, one, everybody knows, is it's complicated. There's lots of moving pieces and parts. People often talk about the grief cycle, but when you look at modern psychology and the grief cycle, it actually doesn't instruct you at all. It doesn't give you any helpful tools. It just says, hey, this is what's happening. One of the things I learned from my business partner was that with grief, it's important, the best way to move through it is just that, to move through it. Not to go around it, not to go over it, not to avoid it, but actually ride the waves that naturally come with grief. As I'm feeling that right now, even as I record this. It's important to feel the grief without feeling despair. One of the most important things when dealing with grief is often people who are grieving, we do a terrible job at this in our society. I think in other cultures, they do a much better job at grieving. If you go to the Middle East, they wail, they scream, they cry, they wear different clothes when they're grieving. They throw dirt on their head. I mean, I think there's something to be said for that. I think when you can, one of the things that I've learned is that if you can have a place to express that grief, where someone's not going to try to give you advice or fix it or keep you from feeling the grief, but actually allow you to cry, yell, scream, say what is terrible and sucks about that grief. I think that's really important. So whether you journal or whether you paint or whether you tell a friend, being able to document that. I actually am reading with my 10-year-old daughter right now a book by C.S. Lewis called A Grief Observed, where he basically chronicles the death and loss of his wife, his best friend, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who's grieving or needs to grieve or doesn't feel like they know how to grieve well. In my experience, most people have gone through some form of trauma in their life, and yet often have not ever grieved it properly. And that causes that pain, that trauma to be metastasized in your nervous system, which keeps you from actually becoming the person that you are designed to become and achieving all that you can achieve and enjoying, experiencing joy and peace and confidence. And so I just want to share that little bit. I might end up sharing more about grief at another time, but I think that's all I got for today. Stay tuned. Thanks.